So let me tell you this story about one of my exes from like 25 years ago. So it was a long time ago, but we'll call this story The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So I had broken up with this guy probably around October of this year because he just wasn't a good person and I was just tired of dealing with his nonsense. So I broke up with him. So I called him and told him that we were breaking up. And his response was, no, we're not. My lease is going to be up pretty soon, so I'm not going to renew it. I'm just going to move in with you. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not moving in with me because I don't want to be with you anymore, etc., etc. And now little did he know that I had already got a new apartment and I was moving that weekend. So when he decided to evidently stop by my old apartment, he discovered that I was no longer living there. And of course, he didn't know where I lived because I didn't want him to know. So I was done with him. So as time goes on, we're getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. Haven't thought about him anymore. Completely forgot about him. He's a non-factor. So I am moving on with my life. Now, at the time, I worked for a department store. So I had access to a lot of retail stuff. So I had already started Christmas shopping for my family members. More specifically, I had already wrapped the Christmas gifts for my nieces and nephews and for my mother. And I had put those gifts underneath my Christmas tree. And so the next morning I go to work. So this had to be like December the 22nd. So I go to work the next day. I get home after midnight because it's just crazy during the holidays when you work in a department store. So the first thing I notice when I walk into my apartment is that one of my Christmas ornaments is on the floor off of my Christmas tree, which is weird because I lived alone and I didn't have any pets. So as I round the corner, I discover that there's the Christmas tree, the gifts that were under the Christmas tree are completely gone. So I'm like, that's weird. Somebody broke into my apartment. Then I noticed that the shopping bags I had next to the Christmas tree, they still had the receipts and the items in those bags. They weren't touched. So I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense because somebody just could have taken that stuff and returned it and got the cash back for it. So somebody clearly is upset with me. So after I realized that the gifts under my tree have been stolen, I am just like beside myself. I'm panicking. I'm frantic. So I go look out my patio door to see if maybe somebody jumped my privacy fence because they didn't come in through the front door because I know for a fact I had to unlock my front door and there was no signs that the door had been kicked in or anything like that. So I'm thinking because it's snowing, if somebody climbed over my privacy fence, they would have had to have a ladder of some sort or been able to fly. But at least I would see footprints in the snow. So I look on my patio. There's no footprints in the snow. The snow is untouched. So then I make my way into my bedroom. And then to add insult to injury, once I get in my bedroom, the first thing I noticed is that the comforter from a bed in the bag that I had just bought, the comforter was missing. And then I noticed that 2 of my drawers have been opened. So I go to look in those drawers. They're empty as well. So not only did he steal the gifts from under the Christmas tree, he goes into my room, used the comforter to put the gifts in, and then takes all of my undergarments from the top 2 drawers, empty them out, take all that with him. So at this point, I am bawling. I call my mom and I'm telling her that somebody broke into my apartment 3 days before Christmas, stole the stuff from under my tree, stole my comforter, and stole all of my underclothes. So she's like, well, call the police, which I already knew to do that anyway. So I call the police. They show up. I make a police report. They dust the doorknob, both inside and out. They dust that for fingerprints. They dust the handles on my dressers for fingerprints. So long story short, the person who broke into my apartment and stole all the gifts from under my Christmas tree was, you guessed it, the guy that I had broken up with a couple months prior. He knew where I worked, in case you all are wondering, well, how did he know where you worked? I worked at the same place for 10 years, and he and I were together for 6. So it wasn't hard for him to come to my job and apparently follow me home one day to find out where I lived, and then waited until I was at work and broke into my apartment and stole the gifts from under my Christmas tree, along with my comforter and all of my undergarments. Now, I will leave the story here. There's more parts that I can offer if you all are interested, like why did we break up and what happened after he broke into my apartment. But I just thought I would share that story with you all, just to kind of not really talk bad about men, but you guys suck sometimes. You guys do some really unnecessary, harmful stuff to women after you've already harmed them. Then you want to punish them for not wanting to take the harm anymore. So I just thought that I would share this part of the story with you all. If you're interested in knowing more, I'll be more than happy to get into why we broke up and what happened after he broke into my apartment.